Hello to Winnie, Sterling, James, Roman, and Cleo. Well, it was raining quite hard today. It was a day of rain. And I was happy. Yes, I was happy that it was not a all-day rain. One day without rain would be nice. I don't know if it's anyone's birthday today. Okay, this is a story about cats, not dogs. Baxter's not really happy about that, but I am going to read about these little cats. Oh, wait a minute. Am I reading the cat one? No. I'm going to read about a big zombie pet today. We're going to save that cat one, so it's not a cat story. Here's a zombie, and he looks pretty mean. He is out in what looks like a swamp, and he's stomping down with his feet. He's going into that swamp area where he will do some mean things. And I see there's something up in a tree that's looking down at him. So I'm going to read to you about him. And I see that there are at least 2 bad guys with him. And there is too much bad stuff going on for it not to attract the attention of the super pets. And they are going to come and take care of this. So we are reading this story, and I don't know if there's a female in it. A female would be a she, S-H-E, if there was a girl in it, like your mom is a she. Your dad is a he. And me, I'm a she. And I love you. Why are you? So before I read this story, I'm going to ask, what were you doing today? And after I put this stuff down, I'm going to ask you from this book, what is this book? Ooh, look at that book. It is a story about the, T-H-E, the swamp thing. Ooh, he looks pretty ugly and he's green. So let's read. Well, here we have our page of good guys and bad guys. Story is Swamp Thing versus the Zombie Pets. Woo-hoo-hoo. Swamp Things and zombies in the same book. All right, this is starring the Down Home Critter Gang. It looks like there's a skunk and a raccoon and a dog and, I don't know, that must be a mouse or a rat. and the Swamp Thing. Ooh. Solomon Grumpy, Batman, the Undead Pet Club. Ooh, it must be the zombies. There's a dog and a cat, a mouse. And Ace, the Bat Hound, is in this story too. Ace belongs to Batman. 3 chapters. Down Home Critters, the Undead Pet Club, and Saving the Swamp. So first, we're going to meet these Down Home Critters. There's Starline, a raccoon, and her power is stomping. Nosy, the skunk, his power is stinking. Loafer, the basset hound, oh, his power is snoozing. Baxter's got that power too. Neural, the possum, oh, he's a possum. His power is swinging, and they belong to the Swamp Thing. Members of the Down Home Critter Gang were born on the bayou. That's in Louisiana, I believe. Kind of a swamp area. Like their super pet hero owner, Swamp Thing, they'll stop at nothing to protect their sacred swamp from Solomon Grundy's Undead Pet Club and other toxic terrors. So, these are the good guys. These are the bad guys, led by Solomon Grundy. Mama Ripples is a cat who howls. Limpy is a possum whose power is hanging. Faye Precious is a Persian cat who hoards things. And Offie Lee is a hound dog. Okay. Some different kinds of superheroes and villains in this one. Down Home Critters. One muggy day, Swamp Thing and his Down Home Critter Gang enjoyed a lazy afternoon in the swamp. They spread out on a big old log and relaxed. There they are. Sure is nice lying around doing nothing, said Mosey the skunk. And if anyone's good at doing nothing, it's Loafer over there, replied Starline the raccoon. The droopy-eyed basset hound lifted his head and grunted. Loafer would rather snooze than do anything else. Yeah, big yawn. Life doesn't get better than this, agreed Merle the possum, soaking up the sun and breathing sweet, sweet air. The critters took a deep breath and started coughing. What is that stench? Cried Starline. Oh, sorry, said Mosey. The skunk had let loose a foul odor any time he lifted his tail, and old Mosey did lift his tail a lot. The Swamp Thing jumped to his feet. Hey, something terrible is happening, the Echo Hero said. Yeah, Mosey's done gone and stunk up the place again, said Merle the possum. He wildly fanned the air. No, said Swamp Thing. The hero leaned down and he put his hand to the ground. His special connection with the earth told him there was trouble near the swamp. Suddenly, a dark shadow fell over the Swamp Thing. The hero looked up and a large object had blocked out the sun. It was the Batplane. The aircraft landed and its doors opened and Batman and Ace the Bat Hound hopped out. They greeted Swamp Thing and the Down Home Critter Gang. What brings you from Gotham City? The Swamp Thing asked the hero and his hound. We need your help, Batman said. The Dark Knight explained that a fire was destroying the great dismal swamp miles away. Batman wanted Swamp Thing to aid in the rescue. effort. "We should leave at once," Swamp Thing said. Batman nodded and he let the Swamp Thing board the Bat Plane. For Swamp King's help, Ace agreed to stay behind with the down-home Critter Gang. The Bat Hound would help protect their home while Swamp Thing was away. Whoosh! As the hero zoomed off, Starline approached Ace. "On behalf of the down-home Critter Gang, we'd like to welcome you to the swamp," she said. "Thank you," Ace said to the raccoon. "Nice mask, by the way." Starling blushed. Ace turned to the rest of the critters. "All right, team," he said. "Who wants to take the first watch?" "Easy there, cowboy," said Burl, the possum. "Where do you think you are?" "Yeah, this isn't Gotham City," added Mossy the skunk. "Nothing exciting ever happens around here." As the critters continued their naps, Ace took his post. He would silently guard the swamp, alone. Meanwhile, the fire continued at the Great Dismal Swamp. The evil Solomon Grundy and his undead pet club often haunted this area. The zombie pets included Offie Lee, the bloodhound, and Fay Precious, the Persian cat. And there was Limpy, the possum, and Mama Ripples, the minx. They're those bad guys. As the firefighters tackled the flames, Grundy and his zombie pets fled their burial plots, set out in search of a new place to get some sleep. "Well, this is a fine to-do," growled Mama Ripples, her jaws jiggling. Her cat eyes twitched with anger. "How are we supposed to rest in peace around here?" grumbled Offie Lee, the bloodless bloodhound. "Well, patience, my zombie pet," Grundy replied. "We'll find a new home, and once we do, we'll have our revenge. These horrible humans will pay for ruining our final resting place." "Hey, I saw a nice muddy swamp down yonder," said Limpy, the possum, pointing with his stump. "I bet it's got all sorts of fixins for everybody." "Fantastic," said Grundy, and he grinned from ear to ear, with a mouthful of crooked yellow teeth. "Hey, let's make ourselves at home." That's the end of Chapter 1. Chapter 2 is The Undead Pet Club. Meanwhile, Ace the Bat Hound watched the sun set at the swamp. Suddenly a twig snapped in the distance. Then another. Ace's ears pricked up, and he smelled something awful, like rotten eggs. Ew. "Oh, look who's coming to the swamp." "Get up," Ace barked at the down-home Critter Gang. "I smell trouble." Mosey Merrill and Starling slowly strolled over, and Lowford lifted his head and went back to sleep. The foul smell grew more powerful, and the critters glared at Mossy the skunk. "Wasn't me." Through the trees appeared the grimiest, creepiest creatures that Ace had ever seen. Behind them was a hulking, undead brute. Look at how ugly they look. Bad guys look pretty ugly. Good guys, they don't look too bad. "Solomon Grundy," growled Ace. "I recognize him from the criminal file on the Bat computer." "Oh, and that must be his undead pet club," said Merrill. "Dear me," gasped Starline the raccoon. "I thought they were just a bunch of old ghost stories." "They look real to me," said Merrill. "They smell really bad, too," said Moss the skunk, glad that he hadn't caused that stinky situation. Grundy walked up to Ace. "You must be Batman's dog," he said with a snarl. "You belong in a cave, not a swamp. Go fetch a batarang." "Har, har, har, har." The zombie pets laughed at their leader's jokes, and they circled the swamp, dragging their limp limbs through the dirt. "Meow," purred Fay Precious. This soil is so moist and delicious. The filthy feline smeared dirt on her face, licked her paws. Hey, a girl could get used to this. Yuck. Oh, boy. Offie Lee started eating the dirt. Yep, I'm going to like it down here, said the bloodless bloodhound. What's this all about? Asked Ace. We're moving in, said Mama Ripples. This swamp is ours now. This is a perfect place to begin my evil plan, Grundy said. Under the full moon, overlooking the swamp, I will bring back hundreds of pets from beyond the grave. Every pet cemetery across the globe will unleash zombies. I don't think so, Ace barked back. Those passed-away pets are staying put. We will stop your evil plan. Mossy the skunk raised his tail and let loose. Poof. Oh boy, that smelled bad. It's not so bad I can't turn the page. Here we go. Cute trick, said Limpy, the zombie possum, and the other undead pets. They pulled them off, but we've got a few of our own. Once the stench had disappeared, the zombies put their noses back on. They pulled off their noses. Neat trick. Get 'em, said Mama Ripples, and the zombie pets attacked the down-home critter gang. Mama Ripples and Faye Precious jumped on Ace. The fat zombie cats used all their weight to hold down that hound. Now it's your turn to play, Dad, said Faye. Off-leaves chased that Starline and Mossy, and the bloodless bloodhound left a trail of fiery slobber. Drops of spit landed on their tail, fizzling their fur. See that slobbering dog. They ran in circles until the last second. Starline and Mossy scurried up a tree. Awfully couldn't stop in time, and the pooch pounded his head against the trunk. The whack! I hope that knocked some sense into him, said Starline. Meanwhile, the two possums faced off. Limpy tackled Merle to the ground. I give up, yelled Merle. That was too easy, said grim Limpy, and he backed off. Huh, I was just playing possum, said Merle. Gotcha! He grabbed Limpy by the tail. Merle swung that zombie possum around and around. Surprise! Shouted Limpy, and his tail snapped off, and the zombie possum flew away. Thud! The zombie possum landed on a log right next to Loafer. Of course, what's he doing? He's sleeping. The sleepy basset hound lifted up his head and saw a delicious bone peeking out of Limpy's zombie skin. Instantly, Loafer picked up the possum by his leg and carried the zombie possum through the woods. After a few paces, Loafer dug a hole, dropped Limpy into it. Before the zombie pet could do anything, Loafer had buried him like a bone. Loafer patted the pile of dirt and went back to napping. Meanwhile, the moon was about to reach its highest point in the sky. Solomon Grundy headed back to the swamp to perform his evil spell. Ooh. For the spell to work, Grundy needed to stand over the swamp. He had to look at his reflection in the water and the moon behind him. Once Grundy said the magic words, within moments all the pets that had passed away would rise from their grave. The Undead Pet Club is about to welcome millions of new members, Grundy said. Rise, zombies, rise. That's the end of Chapter 2. Here's Chapter 3. Saving the Swamp. At the same time, Ace broke free from his feline foes. The bat hound ran to a clearing. Mama and Faye blocked him on either side. Hey, cats, yelled Ace. Catch me if you can. Come to Mama, shouted the fat cat, and she leaped into the air. With his lightning-fast reflexes, the Bat Hound dodged the attack. Mama Ripples landed on Faye Precious. That's one fat cat. Oh, she squished you. Merle the Possum scurried over with some vines from the swamp. Zoom, zoom, zoom. The possum zipped around the zombie cats and the other undead pets, and soon they were all tied up. With the Undead Pet Club in a real bind, Ace headed off to find Solomon Grundy. The Bat Hound followed the zombie scent to a large boulder. The villain was standing at the top, overlooking the swamp. Grundy began to speak the magic words. "Not another word," said Ace. "It's time to play fetch." The zombie villain turned in time to see Ace throwing a batarang. Look at that. See that batarang right at that bad guy. Grundy caught that badger with his teeth, and he bit the weapon in half. "It's going to take more than a simple chew toy to stop me," he yelled. The villain lifted the boulder over his head. "Now it's your turn to catch." Grundy threw the giant rock at Bat Hound. Ace flipped backwards and out of the way. The boulder landed in the swamp. Splash! "Curses," yelled Grundy. Now he'll have to wait for the water to settle to see his reflection again. "At least I have the full moon." Huh? Suddenly the moon disappeared. Grundy and Ace looked up at the same time to see a familiar shape. Ooh, what's that going to be? Look who it is! It's Batman in his bat airplane. And he's got the swamp guy with him, and they're blocking out the moon. Wow. It's an interesting picture, huh, guys? "That's enough out of you," Swamp Thing said, and then he turned to Ace. "Thank you for your help, Bat Hound." Batman landed the plane, and the Dark Knight relayed the news that the fire at the Great Dismal Swamp was out. The ecosystem would need time to recover. Swamp Thing turned to Solomon Grundy and said, "You and your ghoulish gang are welcome to stay at the swamp. You can become members of the Down Home Critter Gang, if you behave." Grundy grumbled behind the vine. "I'm going to take that as a yes," Swamp Thing said, and he released the tangled zombie. Solomon Grundy, Batman, Ace, and the Swamp Thing returned to their friend. "Did you save the day?" Starling asked Ace. "The spell didn't succeed," Ace replied, and he placed a paw on Starling's shoulder. "We saved the day together." Starling blushed. Batman and Ace bid their friends farewell and headed back to Gotham. Swamp Thing asked his pets to untie the Undead Pet Club. "They're going to stay with us for a while," he said. "That isn't so bad," Merle said. This is one zombie attack I can handle." All of a sudden, a loud moan pierced the silence. Then a scratching sound was heard from the forest. The down-home critters started shivering. They saw a pile of dirt moving. Wait a minute, what was buried under that dirt? Didn't that lazy old dog bury something? A clawed paw peeked out from the soil, and followed by a rotten limb. Something was rising from the grave. "I thought you said the spell didn't work," Starling said. "More zombies," said Merle. The creature limped towards the group and took the dirt off and stepped in the moonlight. "Oh, it's Limpy," said the undead pet. The zombie possum had fallen asleep where Loafer had buried him. "Oh, nothing lets you rest in peace like a good dirt nap," said Limpy. Loafers lifted his head and agreed. The Down-Home Critter Gang and the Undead Pet Club were going to get along just fine. So look at that. They were bad guys and good guys, and now they're going to be friends and get along and live together just fine. And that's the end of our story. So, here are the good guys and the bad guys. We read about most of them. And here are the words we had today. Brute is a non-human creature or beast. Dismal means gloomy and sad. An ecosystem is a community of animals and plants that interact with our environment. Flora is plant life. Jowl is a loose flesh that hangs around your lower jaw. Muggy means warm and damp weather. Reflection is a reproduction of an image, like when you look at a mirror. Toxic means poisonous or dangerous. And a zombie is a person who you believe to have died and then they come back to life. And that's the end of our story today. Well, I hope you liked the story about the swamp people and the zombies. And that you are having a good day. And I love you all. Bye-bye.